Hey everyone, today we're jumping into something that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction, but it's happening right now. We're talking about how artificial intelligence is completely changing the game for military training, moving it from predictable, old-school scripts to dynamic, thinking battlefields.
So just think about this for a second, because it's the key to everything we're going to talk about. What if a training simulation wasn't just some pre-programmed course? What if it was actually an intelligent opponent? Something that could learn from you, adapt to your moves, and genuinely surprise you. That's the world we're stepping into.
Okay, so to really get why AI is such a massive deal, we first have to understand the problem it's trying to solve. And that problem has a name: the simulation gap.
And this slide lays out that gap perfectly. You see, for years, military training has run on scripts. The bad guy always pops out from behind the same car. The ambush always happens at the 5-minute mark. You run it enough times, you know exactly what's coming. But real life, real conflict is the total opposite. It's messy, it's unpredictable, and most importantly, your enemy is a thinking, adapting person trying to outsmart you. The old way of training just can't prepare you for that chaos.
Now, this search for realism, it's not some new fad. Honestly, the military has been on this quest for a couple of centuries now, always grabbing the newest tech available to make its training feel more like the real thing. I mean, it's been a really long road. It all kicked off way back in the 1800s with these tabletop war games called Kriegspiel. Maps, little pieces, dice rolls. Then, fast forward to the mid-20th century, and boom, computers arrive, leading to these huge strategic simulations for Cold War planning. Then came the era most of us probably think of, the late 20th century, with flight simulators, tank simulators, the works. And that brought us to the 2000s, with networked virtual reality, where whole teams could train together. Every single step made things look and feel more real.
But here's the kicker. Despite all that incredible progress, from little wooden blocks on a map to high-tech VR headsets, one single fundamental problem never went away. The enemy, the adversary, was never actually thinking. It was just following a program, reading from a script every single time.
And that is where AI walks onto the stage. This isn't just the next little upgrade. It is a total paradigm shift. For the first time, AI gives us the power to finally close that simulation gap, to create an enemy that doesn't just act, it actually learns.
So, what are we really talking about when we say AI here? Well, put simply, we're giving the machine the ability to act like an intelligent human. And the magic words, the ones that change everything, are learn, adapt, and make autonomous decisions. The computer is no longer just a puppet on a string, it's an actual player in the game.
So how on earth does it work? It's basically a three-step process. First, the AI learns. It just devours massive amounts of data, real-world combat reports, tactical manuals, you name it, to figure out how people actually fight. Second, it adapts. It uses something called reinforcement learning, which basically means it plays the game against itself thousands, even millions of times, learning from its mistakes and developing brand new, creative strategies. And the result of all that? Step 3, it learns how to surprise you. It becomes this dynamic, thinking opponent that you can't second-guess, forcing you to actually think on your feet.
And believe me, this isn't just some far-off theory. This stuff is being designed and implemented right now. So let's look at 3 real-world examples of how this is getting soldiers, pilots, and planers ready for whatever comes next. First up, let's head into the city. We're talking urban warfare, which is about as complex and dangerous as it gets.
In an AI simulation, you're not fighting dumb bots. The insurgent AI learns your tactics. It uses cover intelligently. It sets up coordinated, unpredictable ambushes. And get this, the civilians on the street aren't just background decoration anymore. They're individual AIs that react to the chaos. They run, they hide, they might even get in the way, just like in real life. Throw in maps that are randomly generated so you can never train on the same layout twice, and fill the radio with simulated chatter to overload your senses, and suddenly you have something that feels terrifyingly close to the real thing.
All right, for our next case, let's zoom out. We're looking at a uniquely modern threat: hybrid warfare. And this isn't just about boots on the ground. This is a fight that happens everywhere at once. In cyberspace, on social media, you name it. For this kind of threat, AI can act as the ultimate sparring partner, a strategic red team. It can run a simulation where it does everything at once. It launches a cyber attack on the power grid, it floods social media with fake news to create panic, and it coordinates all of that with military moves on the ground. And by running thousands of different versions of this wargame, the AI can find strategic weaknesses, blind spots that human planners might never, ever have seen coming.
And for our last case study, let's take to the skies. For a fighter pilot, a single decision made in a fraction of a second can be everything.
When you put AI in the cockpit simulator, the intensity goes through the roof. The enemy pilot you're up against isn't flying in a simple circle. It's using advanced maneuvers it learned from studying the best pilots in the world. The missile systems on the ground are smart, actively trying to outwit you. The AI can even throw curveballs, like a sudden emergency or a civilian airliner wandering into the airspace, testing a pilot's ability to manage an insane amount of information. It's really all about pushing that pilot to their absolute breaking point, but in an environment where they can walk away and learn from it.
So all of this sounds unbelievably powerful, right? And it is. But it's not as simple as just plugging it in and letting it run. This huge leap forward brings with it a whole new set of challenges and some really deep, profound questions about the relationship between humans and AI. And one of the biggest hurdles is what's called the black box problem. See, an AI might come up with a brilliant, battle-winning tactic, but because its neural network is so complex, we humans might have no idea why it chose to do that. Its logic is hidden in a black box, and that's a problem. If you can't understand the reasoning, can you ever really trust the system?
And this opens up a whole can of worms. You've got to worry about bias. What if the data we feed the AI has old biases baked into it? Will the AI just learn our worst habits? We just talked about the black box problem. How do you trust something you can't explain? Then there's the human side. What if we become too reliant on the AI? Could our own critical thinking skills start to fade? And all of this leads to the biggest question of all, the ethics of training an AI for lethal decision-making, even in a simulation. These are not easy questions.
So, here's the bottom line. What we're seeing is a massive, fundamental shift. Military training is evolving. It's moving away from memorizing static, predictable scripts and into learning how to survive and thrive inside a living, breathing, intelligent ecosystem, one that thinks, adapts, and pushes back.
Which leaves us with one final and I think really vital question to think about. As this AI technology gets better and better, becoming a near-perfect training partner, how do we make absolutely sure that it sharpens our own judgment instead of dulling it? How do we guarantee that in this new partnership between human and machine, the human always, always remains the better decision maker?